This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Hello and welcome. Yes, it's the Friday show, and we need to produce the goods, so we've brought the right people in to do so. We've not been in the best form, but it's Whitbread weekend, and what better way to have Chris Gartner, Jack Veach, and John Leng with me chewing the fat and picking the winners. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, enthusiasm there, beyond the realms of enthusiasm things. Right, on to the business then. We've got Sandown, of course, the principal card, where Wicked Willie is deciding to send a battalion over to try and land the old trainer's title from the two big lads in the southwest. So it's going to be quite interesting to see that play out tomorrow. But without further ado, I think it's time to go to best bets round straight away. So more of that later as we preview the television action. So, Chris Gartner, for you first of all, what's your 1 point win, please?
Of course, you start with the hungover lad here, don't you, Lee? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Right, I'm off to Sandown, obviously, in the 20 past 5, the Bet 365 Handicap Hurdle, and I'm going to go with Mullins' other one, actually, Gold Dancer, with Danny on board. This lad been bought by the same connections that gave Willie Galloping Deschamps and Jack Adam as well. Big scopy Dr. Dino. Might not see the best of him until he tackles a fence. O'Leary is back in bed with Willie, so to speak, and he's bought him. He's sent him a 250 grand. Dr. Dino here. They threw him in at the Dublin Racing Festival in a Grade 1. Obviously, he was out of his depth first run there. Makes his handicap debut. I think the cap has just guessed at 130. I think he's got no idea there. Brother to Al Dancer, really nice pedigree, big scopy thing. I think a few of these are running up to their marks and don't look a massive amount in hands. I've no idea what to make of the favourite here. I mean, he was weak as anything in the Coral Cup. He couldn't have dropped away. I mean, good luck if you're going in again at 5s and 6s there. So he'd be the one for me. He was an expensive yearling. I think Sandown might actually suit him. But you look at his wins in France there. So he'd be the one for me, Lee.
I tell you what, that's a really interesting shout. That I did look at it, and I'm thinking, like you said, how do you handicap that? It's quite difficult to do. I think that would be one I won't be losing on. So I think it's a good selection.
5-year-olds have really good record in this. You look at the last 16 renewals, 6 have won and 2, so 3 have been placed there. Type of race that they can just come on for having a couple of little runs and just looks. You know, Willie's done it with so many, hasn't he, in the pipe, in the boys' race there, where he's had a couple of... I mean, Galloping was an example, wasn't it? Yeah, I just wonder whether he squeaks one here as second choice and goes in.
Nice one. 10-1 you can have, sir, for your troubles. That's with Victor and Skybet. 11s if you're lucky enough to have a Billy Mountains, but for fair price, 2 rulebook technology, 10-1 for Chris. Coming to me then, I'll play in the same race to keep on the same topic. I'm in the 520, and a shout here for Authorised Speed, 11-1, generally available. It wouldn't be Sandown without a Jelly Deal Brighton Mafia winner. And to me, I think Authorised Speed is going to appreciate back to hurdles from fences. He really didn't get on with fences. It wasn't his bag. And bearing in mind, this horse was considered a Tolworth contender at one point and actually ran in the Tolworth, was 5-4 fav in a Tolworth, even though it was not a very good one. And this is a good hurdle. Always had potential, very keen in his races. That's his problem. But I anticipate a really good gallop here. And I think that's the scenario. And he does like Sandown. He does quite well here. He's had one disappointing run, but that was in the Tolworth tactical affair, and he was pulling too hard. He does like Sandown, and I'm with the Jelly Deal gang to sign off the meeting with a winner, as they do have like to have winners here. And I think Authorised Speed still well in off 134, 1 point win at 11-1, generally available. So Me and Chris head-to-head in that, both with good cases. Jack Veach.
Right, well, no Sandown for me, which will probably be no surprise to listeners, but we're off to Town Moor in the 7:45 12 furlong handicap, and I'm calling this one the Spanish Armada. It's the Battle of the Boats, and the boat I'm selecting is the Shirts College Choir here. Handicap debut off a mark of 70. I think she's been a slow but fairly steady improver, and I thought there was quite a lot of promise in that last run, third at Kempton. Made all the running, and I thought was going to fall out the back of the TV at one point, but I thought stayed on pretty well. And she's all stamina. She's Nathaniel out of a pivotal mare, will certainly improve for the switch to turf, and I think will be well placed on conditions as well. I know probably saw the worst of them today, but I think it's still going to have a fair bit of cut in the ground tomorrow, and it'll be pretty sticky and tacky stuff. Just looks the type that, Shirt gets these so well handicapped, and I think a mark of 70. I mean, she's, look at the horses that have been that she was beaten by at Kempton. You've had the Godolphin horse, Lost Todos. That looks a decent type. Even the fourth Monte Rossa, which is a bit of a questionable filly for Gosden, but even that's gone in since, and I just think that's a cracking opening mark to start things off here. And I'd say Tud Hope would be a positive booking for the yard as well. Got a decent page. The full sibling was a bit earlier than her. Actually, was stakes placed as a 2-year-old, but stayed 12 furlongs as a 3-year-old too. I think, to be honest, she's that slow that 12 is probably the bare minimum. So I'd want to see a prominent ride here, and the course has been favouring that from today's action. So yeah, I think it's a good starting point for a master of handicapping. No prices yet, as I can see. We'll go with the fair price rules, of course. I'll probably be hoping for probably 4-1, 9-2, that kind of price. I think that's what they got the forecasting in at. But I'll be more than happy to row in 1 point win on College Choir.
Good stuff. We'll give you a fair price, Jack, of course, when the prices are up. The producer will keep her eye on that. Right, so to finish the round, Jonas Leng, where are you going?
I'm going to Haddock, 245. Now, it's different strokes for different folks, isn't it? Really, that's the phrase. Some people like egg on the face. I'm one of them. Some people prefer a young lady squirting in the face. But not me.
No.
I'm an egg man through and through. At risk of getting a massive amount of egg on the face, I'm overlooking Earls, who should have won a week ago. This track might not give him the best chance of coming from off the pace. Zip should go well, handles the ground, sits handy, blah, blah, blah. I think he could be better giving weight to shit rather than getting weight off better horse. Ross Cullen has never won off a mount this high, but handles the conditions. Tackerib Bay doesn't win enough. Sparks Fly doesn't look lobbed in and might need it. Guido has never ran on heavy and must be maxed out at 100. Boardman generally needs a run, which leaves us with the uber-fit Rainbow Fire. It was a verdict over Guido around here, and it's quite interesting at a price, I think, and the yard's in rattling form, so that will do for me. 1 point win.
Okay, right, you've picked an interesting race. Obviously, we'll cover this in detail at the end of the show, so I'll not bleat on too much about what you've picked, etc. So, fair price trade, John, is 9-1.
I think the ground's a bit of a punt, but
yeah, there's been money for this. It's certainly attracting attention early as we're looking at the early betting forecast. So, Rainbow Fire for John to finish the round. And just one question for you, John. If you are the Eggman, am I the Walrus?
Cuckoo Stew.
I'm not going to comment on that expensive work he had done, mate.
Hey, listen, there's no dissing being a walrus. Craig Stadler, one of the finest physiques of any golfer to grace the stage, was Craig Stadler. And he was, of course, called the walrus.
He was a great putter. He used to wedge it in his belly button.
Absolutely, yeah. He got an arc, hadn't he, around his belly button. They were like a bending shaft. Like, we'll move on to the 2-point round. Of course, hopefully we can match some nice selections there, some nice prices as well for you. So hopefully we can repeat the dose. So who shall I come to? Jack, I'll come to you first.
Right, so we're also at Haddock. It's the 5 p.m, which is the 1 mile handicap for the 3-year-olds, and it's early markets. I think we've only got one firm up, but it's a fairly boring selection in that it's the current favourite Minstrel Knight for Ed Bethel. Been a horse I've been keeping an eye on the all-weather. I think I put it up in my notes earlier in the year. Thought his last effort was quite impressive when he was staying on third behind Solomon for the shirt. He's been given an opening mark of 69. He only finished 2 3/4 lengths behind Solomon off levels that day, and Solomon's been given a rating of 86. So, possibly well handicapped on that front. I think the angle here is that if you go and watch all of his runs thus far, but particularly the last one, he's got a really high knee action. Just looks the sort that would be primed for a switch to turf, and it's going to look. We might not even get racing tomorrow, so I'm trying to tip non-runners if I'm honest. But if we do, he might well be one of the few that handles the slop at Haddock, and he's been gelded since. He has shown a bit of a tendency for greenness and to lug a little bit in his racing, but I think that should sort him out. Haven't got loads in that race. I think it's probably a shootout between he and the Jack Jones ex-Beckett horse, but I look at that one. First time cheek pieces. Valmont were happy to dispense of him. I think they're a pretty shrewd outfit, and if there's one that can progress in the handicaps, they'll probably keep hold of it. So I wouldn't be so worried about that one. I mean, look, it might be capable of winning a race at this level, but I think Minstrel Knight's the selection here. Ed Bethel I really like with these types. He's proving himself to be quite a shrewd operator. Injun Jim in the saddle, which wouldn't always be the biggest of positives, but of this crop, I'd say you could do worse. And I think this horse is just ready for a switch to turf. And I've had a kind of early spring soft ground handicap in mind for it for a while, and this is exactly what it gets tomorrow. So yeah, quite a confident 2-point selection on Minstrel Knight.
Okay, 3-1 for you, Wacko Jacko, for Minstrel Knight. Let's hope Indian Jim doesn't go all Indian on you tomorrow with your 2-pointer. Jonas.
Right, at Haydock again in the 320. I'll keep this fairly straightforward and simple. Act of Violence. This one was all right as a 2-year-old. He's expected to improve this year. Had a lovely pipe opener 3 weeks ago. Should have put him right for this. He's got a verdict over the favourite last year off levels. He gets £3 here. 2 points win.
You absolutely love Tim and Thick Dave at this time of year after one run, don't you? You absolutely love it. It's one of John's punting strategies, along with his kilt at Beverley kind of stuff. But yeah, John loves this duo. Good old Thick Dave. Big out on board. 8-1 for you, John, for your 2 points. Were you happy with that?
Perfect.
Marvellous. Goes against a strong 11-10 favourite in Shelbourne. Coming on to me before we finish the round with Chris. Going again at Sandown, and it's in the Celebration Chase. That's the 3 o'clock. And I'm very keen on John Bomb. It's a complete U-turn from me because I said at Aintree, I thought the horse was in trouble after his fall. I was worried how he'd sort of take after that because he's jumping. He's usually meticulous. He wasn't foot perfect at Aintree. I did note that. He's one negative. However, Sandown, for me, will not suit El Fabiola. I think John Bon, when he's ran round Sandown, John Bon looked electric when he beat Edwardstone. I felt absolutely electric. And I think now he's just got the win under his belt at Aintree. And he's relatively fresh this season. He's never usually misses a dance, but he's fresher than what he's sometimes come to sort of this race at the end of the season. So I think 9-4 is an absolute steal. And I would be round the 6-4, 11-8 mark for John Bon. I think it should be very close in the betting. So John Bon for me, 2 points win, 9-4, that's generally available. Chris, finish the round.
I'm off to the Whitbread. Let's have it right, the right name. And hopefully I am right with I am right. It's a bit disappointing everyone's got onto him and he's been absolutely smashed in. I've been going in on him all week. Mr. Kim Muir with him, missed Aintree with him. Pulled Rachel's arms off at Cheltenham early in the season. He did better. I don't think he needs totally top of the ground, but he has to jump out of a decent surface, which he'll get tomorrow. I mean, a massive eye catcher at Leopardstown. I think he's been crying out for a trip. Back right-handed, which his best performances at Fairyhouse and Kilbeggan as well. He actually won his point right-handed as well on decent ground. It's an obvious selection, but he's just so well in, it's untrue. I mean, I can't believe he's not better than... I'd be disappointed if he's not better than a mark of 142. And why not why not in this year of the Irish just coming over and taking the absolute piss, just go for another Irish one? I'd even think you could even get the forecast up if you wanted to be clever. I think Minella Cruder probably chases him home as well.
Yeah. Where's your 2 points going? Is it 2 point win? Am I right?
Am I right?
Yeah, 30-2. We bet 365 and Coral.
Yeah,
I thought Chris had heard deed there for a minute.
It's not. I did warn you at the start.
It was like a Desi Scale moment. Remember Desi Scale when he's like screech at the top of his voice and he went totally silent.
That was when he actually broke his voice box, didn't he?
I'm bringing drama to the show. I tell you what, I'll lay Kitty's light as well. I think he pulls up.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Because he'll just run flat after the
100%. No, last year, you look at the national runners after last year's national, 0 to 32. I can't. That was a hard race. That's the worst ground it's been in Aintree for a while. It was dead as anything. Yeah, I'll lay Kitty's light. Am I right? 2 points, and Minella Cruder reverse forecast.
We'll come on to that again in more detail later, so I'm not going about it now. We'll just get the bets out of the way and we can chew the fat on this later. Right, 3 point round. This is it, folks. Let's get all your best bets ready. Your pens ready. Your luckies ready. We're due. The bastards are due. We've been shit. Well, Chris hasn't been shit, but we've generally been shit so far this year. So you know we're due. You know we're due for best bets. Where are we going first for the 3-pointer? I'll kick us off. And it's a horse I absolutely adore, actually. Again, it's another jumps bet. I can't believe it. But 445 Sandown, Nickelback. This is just going to run them silly. How is this 11 to 4? You can get 3 to 1 with Denise, but this is just going to go blast off from the front. Jump them stupid, like it did in that novice ring when it thumped some really good novices. I cannot see this. This should be like 11:08, 5 to 4. It's like, you know it's just going to bomb off. Nothing's going to take it on because they can't. And that'd be it. That'd be last they see of it. Good night. Thanks very much. 3 points win, 11 to 4, Nickelback, 445 Sandown. That kicks the round off. Nice banker there to starters. Chris, coming back to you.
All right. Hopefully my sound works now and I won't do any dramatic pauses.
Yeah.
150. Let's go with the 3-pointer in the most competitive, hardest race going. So just to clear my head after yesterday as well. So I'll go the Novices Championship final handicap hurdle, and I'm going with look, it's a handicap hurdle, so why not go with Skelton's, eh? But we'll go with Be Aware for Cohen, who owned Sunny Bay all those years ago.
Yeah.
Second last time out, beaten favourite. No disgrace in that. He lost the shoe quite badly and still finished okay. I think he's got loads in hand. They bought this grey Marteline off the same connections that bought them another 145 rated La Costain as well. I just think he's very green. His head was in the air at Lingfield when he had to give a penalty away, massive weight away to Yellow Star, and only went down by a neck. You watched that Newbury run at January and it just clicked and he just surged away. I think of any of these, he's got a bit in hand. I'm not convinced by the top of the market how much they've got in hand here. I think if there's any horse who makes his handicap debut here, they drop him in trick, which I think suits. And I think he'll be smashed in tomorrow.
7-1 generally available. So what's your play? Are you on this nostrils?
Yeah, got it on it now. I think he could go off favourite, So yeah.
He does travel well in his races. Certainly for you, obviously, you traders out there. Lengy loves the trade and does travel like the wrath of God. Well, that's what I've seen so far. So be aware. Be aware. Yeah, 7-1 for Chris, generally available. Of the handicap king, Dan Skellybob. Jonas.
I think things have been a bit grim these last few weeks, haven't they?
They have.
We need something that's going to be uplifting.
Yeah.
And this, when it comes to the front, just inside the final quarter, it'll be like the closing scene from Local Hero, where you feel a little bit choked up. Mark Knopfler kicks in with the guitar, and you feel tremendously uplifted as the titles start rolling. We're off to Navan for the 4:30 start.
I love you for this. God.
This is a real cute fucker, this. Zazia with Mr. Hogan. He's had a lovely float up in a bumper to start things off. And then stuck a good run in at 12 furlong maiden. And I'm thinking, oh, they get me a handicap for the flat, this is all right. A couple of more scouts round over 12. Well, Hogan's a bit cuter than that, so he dropped it to 7 furlongs next time out. Here's the report. Midfield, edge right after a furlong, kept on when nudged along inside final furlong. Never near a challenge. Jockey said regarding running and riding that his instructions were to ride gelding forward and positive, but he felt the trip was too sharp and he was flat out from early on. He added that the gelding was off the bridle before the turn-in and had a slightly awkward head carriage, the tento if you're dragging him. In the closing stages, the trainer's rep said that he was happy with the ride, but disappointed with how the gelding ran. The vet found the horse to be post-race normal, open 33-1. Then he had another float up over a mile. Now here he is over a suitable trip off 66. 3 points win, 20s plus.
Yeah, 20s. You can have Joey Sheridan in the saddle there, and he's been taking part on this horse, obviously, and it spins. So they said to Joey, you can ride it, son. You can ride it, son, on D-Day. Again, it's a really unexposed bet. One that could boost this lucky. Chris, obviously, with his nap at 7-1, mine at 11-4, John's at 20s. What's Jack Veach going to do?
Well, he's not going to tip an 11-10 fav, so we've at least got something to play with. It goes in the 2:45 at Haddock, the same race that John selected. I'm afraid it's no Klaxon. I think John's done a good job of summarising the field. I'm equally against quite a few here. I think Earls is, very visibly well handicapped, but I agree with John. I don't think the track particularly suits. Trap 1 as well. That's going to be held up, and you can just see that finding all sorts of trouble. John's selection, Rainbow Fire, was definitely a danger. I had a ground query on it myself. Obviously won this race off the same mark last year. Clearly from a handicapping perspective, it's absolutely fine. But one run on soft ground in the Vicky Cup last year didn't go very well. So look, might prove me wrong, but it was I was against it on this occasion. So you've got Sparks Fly. That progressed about £45-50 last year for the Dave Lowe outfit, their ever honest Dave Lowe outfit. And I just see that a 4-year-old filly carrying 9-12 round here, that wouldn't be for me. Guido equally pretty badly handicapped. So that leaves us with the Yoggurt Cannon trained Thackeray Bay, who agreed with John, doesn't win enough, but it does win sometimes. And I think Haddock could be the place. It's got 3. It's a bit of a course specialist, to be fair. Run 3 times at Haddock, 2 wins and a second. And that second was to Triple Time, who's a future Group 1 winner. So I'll forgive him that. He won 2 years ago here as a 3-year-old off the same mark over the same trip. I think he's
why I like Haydock, Jack?
Go on.
Kirkland Tellrate used to go in the overnight stables and interfere with him.
Well, that's...
He'll miss that this year.
Yeah, look, I'll have to add 2 points onto the bet tomorrow because he's not there anymore, is he? But I think there's still something to. It'll be there. It'll
be luncheon,
lurking around, looking for Thackeray Bay, hopefully. But I like him tomorrow, and I think draw 10 is the only negative. If he can get out and sit handy, that would be ideal. Notable that Hannon had 3 in here right till the last minute. I was sat refreshing the BHA entries, waiting to see who he declared. But he also had Bosch and Mums Tipple in, who were both in decent form. But he's gone with Thackeray Bay. I think 7 furlongs is this horse's trip. He doesn't quite see the mile out properly. He's a bit slow for 6, and particularly with the kind of farcical pace that we see these days. Although, in fairness, he won a listed event over 6 at Newcastle in the autumn. He's been kept fairly busy, and I think tomorrow could be D-Day for it. So, yeah, although he's an annoying type who's probably cost me more money than I've won, I think we'll get it right tomorrow. So he's at least 2 points too big, in my opinion. So 3 points on Thackeray Bay for me.
8-1, generally available. Well summed up. So we're 2-pronged in 2 races tomorrow in the shape of the last at Sandown with me and Chris, and 2-pronged in the Haydock at 2:45. Hope you enjoyed that, folks, and hope if you agree with any of these, stick them in some multis and try and play your life winnings up. But then don't forget, you'll have to show your passport, your credit cards, your wife's bank statements, your brother's bank statements, your father's bank statements, everyone's bank statements to get paid. Never mind. But anyway, I'm sure you'll get it eventually. We may as well carry on in this theme. The 2:45 then. Let's start the TV previews. Haddock 2:45. This is the subject topic of where Jack and John went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. And Jack came down and John followed him down.
And neither of us won.
Yeah, twatted him. Right, anyway, we'll preview this television race in fine fashion, as I'm sure. So you've heard Jack's contribution with Thackeray Bay. You've heard John. Very, very good summary of John's, like going through all the runners. Rainbow Fire he sided with. So hope one of these two land that. Preferably Jack now with the 3 points. We need the points. We need the points. One thing I agree with you two chaps on, right, is Earls. This is a bad fav because Trap 1 Haddock, it's okay over the 7 if you're bouncing out and doing a Johnson.
Wouldn't you have stuck this in Ricky Cup, though?
Yeah, this is terrible from Cromwell. He's thinking, all right, we'll turn up at Haydock. There's a pile of shit here.
Doesn't work on the flat. We might work over the stick.
He thinks it still sticks, doesn't he?
The 7, you're straight into the bend. So then you get in your breather. That's why the front end works at quite a lot. But obviously, I admit, they are going to be quite strong here because I think Guido and Sparks Fly, there'll be no fucks given, with these two early on, which will suit possibly something off the pace like Rainbow Fire, like Thackeray Bay. But the problem with Earls is in Trap 1, you've got no outs. All you've got to do is come out, take a pull, then you're fucked. You just sat there on the inside. So you're just praying that you get the gaps. Whether it will, it might do, but it's a bad bet. I can see it's being punted now, and it's terrible. Just because it was eye-catching last time, John tipped it. And whilst John made great reasoning last time, and he was unlucky, it should have won, but it's not an open expanse. Yes, you've got a 4 furlong straight, but he's not in trap 4 or 5 where he can move wide and get an uninterrupted run down the straight. He's in trap 1, and it's Franny Norton. He's older than me. So it's no good. Absolutely bad fav. So I agree with you guys. I couldn't find a selection because they all beat each other. That's the problem. Gun to Ed, look back smiling for me. That's Gun to Ed, but I'll just lay Earls. That's the sensible play.
Look back smile at the newly excellent Gemma Tutty in this.
Yes.
Yeah, so the only thing with him is he's also in a race we're going to talk about in a minute, and I believe that's his first preference, the King Dicky at Leicester.
Good shout. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I hadn't noticed that. Right, okay. So if he's not there, then yeah, I'm all over Jack and John's, really. Chris, it's your home track, this.
Might well be, but I'm out my comfort zone here big time, so as I'm struggling tonight, lads, aren't I?
Right, okay, so we move on from Haddock and we go to Leicester. You might have better look at Leicester, Chris. I doubt it, but never mind. And here we go. Jack, I've seen it. Look back smiling, of course. And I have looked through this race, but I'd never twigged. It never fucking twigged. I don't know. There you go. An idiot. What I did feel here in the King Richard III, we all love a King Richard III, don't we? Hey?
Let's be fair, this James full of them.
With that in mind, am I off my tits here for saying that this is surely just a 2-horse race between Almobir and Radobark? I can't have anything else. They just look out of the depth.
Yeah, I'd agree on the whole lead. The only negative I'd have on the Fav is that he's £7 higher than when he won this last year, and he's got Kieran Fallon instead of Buick, but it could be a class edge thing, quite possibly. Radeberg ran really well in the Irish Lincoln. I think a few of us were on that day, myself included, and he didn't quite back that up last week, but I thought he ran fine. He'd probably be the one I'd side with here over the 2, but yeah, I think class edge at the top of the market is probably the right assessment.
John?
I think there's something going on here.
Go on.
It's a Sandown Saturday, and yet the Jellied Ale mob are messing about with magic memories in this.
Oh, yeah.
Normally, they'd have a charabang boat up for going to Sandown, and then they'd be off to Southend afterwards, wouldn't they? And they'd be having a load of potted shrimps and that, and filling the missus.
Have you seen who they've booked to ride? That would be my worry there.
Well, it is a worry, but it's a small enough field, and if the brakes are off, he might just have a job pulling this one up.
That won't be off with him on. He's an idiot. He's the worst jockey I have seen in a long time. And I know jockeys will improve.
There's got to be worse than him, surely.
I ain't seen one.
I think he's up there, to be honest.
I ain't seen one. He's cost me fortunes this winter, thinking the shirt must know what he's doing, putting him up. And then it took me about 3 runs to work out that he must have caught the shirt with a stable girl and got pictures. Because
the shirt with his shirt off.
Yeah, he's caught the shirt with the shirt off. Yeah, you definitely, yeah.
There was that thing at Beverley that last night or yesterday, day before. I lose the days these days, but he got that beat several times. Winter, Mark 1 steps up and it won about 8 lengths. So
you talked me out of it. I will mourn.
You'll be on tomorrow, John, when it wins 3 lengths, and you'll be saying, "I told you."
I'll tell you what, he'll be grumpy as fuck to us tomorrow if we put him off a big winner there. He'll not be happy. The Martin Ogre will return. We go to Sandown then after our feeble Leicester and it's a solid Haydock preview. I think Jack and John have got a good angle there. Right, so we go to the 150, which is the opener, and this made my eyes bleed. I get Chris's point with Be Aware. It's one of the first ones I looked at myself as well. I'm a little bit worried about him in a finish, to be honest, because if you watch the Lingfield race against the Gary Moore thing that reopposes in the race, at Yellow Star.
Yellow Jacket, yeah. He had to give about 5 stone away, Lee, to be fair, though, on dirty, leafy ground as well. So,
yeah, wait for age as well, though. But if you look 2 out to 1 out, there's only 1 winner. And then obviously he got beat again. That's the only issue I've got with him. I think he is a class 8. I think the Skeltons are quite shrewd, and maybe I'm sort of being a bit too sort of negative there, but I don't like horses that trade too short in running and then don't go through with it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't mind that on Novices, though, to be fair. He's green as great. His head was in the air, wasn't it? I mean, even you look at his Newbury run, he only clicked into gear in the last couple of furlongs on the flat, didn't he, really? Skeltons they know when they've got one well handicapped, don't they? It's no coincidence that they like money as well. So 51k.
They do. Yeah, Big Dan loves a big cow pie full of money.
Got to pay for all these legal cases that he
full of
5k fines and all that, but he's really sorry and he just wants to move on, with his fragile horses that do nothing in the winter and they come good in the spring, so God bless him.
Yeah, he's finally started to train now. He's become desperate, Dan, this winter. Right, let's go through some of the other runners. Secret Squirrel, my favourite cartoon.
Not.
No, it weren't. You're right. It weren't. It was Air Bunch. Anyway, Secret Squirrel. 8 to 1 generally available. Huey Morrison, Mr. Shrewd, David Bass, who loves a good
stuck in.
Yeah, he'd love the old whale button back when
he's going to be battering him away, isn't he?
You get your carpet clean.
Oh, Christ alive. And you get your whole house clean.
Good old David Bass.
Beats as it sweeps.
Let's discuss him. Obviously, he got beat a couple of times. Interestingly, he's a shorter price than Fireflyer, who I thought beat him cosily at Taunton, but pulled up last time. Obviously, Fireflyer didn't run his race last time, a bit buzzy, free. Nice horse physically, is Fireflyer. I do like him, but that obviously, that last run's putting people off. But 12s and 8s, Chris, Fireflyer and Secret Squirrel when he beat him cozy at Taunton.
Yeah, Fireflyer over fences next year. He's a free miler for me, Lee. Chantal. Minimum trip there. He wants it. I'd be surprised that there's not something faster than him in this.
So we're talking about faster, right? So let's go Masai Mara, right? John O'Shea shitting winners at the moment on the flat. Double today at Doncaster.
Masai Mara lays the drought there.
Very good, John.
Very good.
That one almost took me out of Jump's betting retirement, Lee. I agree with you on this Masai Mara. I think that's a decent horse on the flat, and I think it's taken to hurdling fairly well. These Roaring Lions look like they could be. I know he's only ever had the one crop, and he only will, but they look like they're making decent jumpers, a couple of them. And I thought this sneaking in at the bottom of the weights was quite interesting, actually.
Well, he's put pieces on. I don't usually like backing 4-year-olds against older horses in handicap hurdles. It's not really my thing. And the stats bear that up. But we've had 2 4-year-olds win this in the last 3 years. So shit's on my parade, doesn't it? So like 14-1 Masai Mara with pieces for the first time. He was tricky on the flat. He's a tricky entity. But at the same time, he's got the engine. Ivor the engine. So 14-1. I thought could be interesting for John's certainly got the carrots in at the minute, and that shouldn't be dismissed at a price. Chris, anything else that took your interest?
Not in this, no. I think Be Aware wins.
Good stuff. I like it. Confidence. That's what we want. John, anything from you that took your eye in this?
No, I'd rather watch a toddler playing in a minefield.
Right, we'll move on. 225 is the Oaksey Chase. Good old Lord Oaksey. You liked him, John, didn't you?
I'd take him or leave him, really. He loved Whitbread there, though, didn't
Yeah.
he? You know, all them freebies from Whitbread. Old Colonel Bill Whitbread.
Yeah.
Lunch.
Sat with Claude Duval.
Yeah.
The real whacker. Now, this is probably the real whacker's easiest chance of a win, probably in a long time. He's certainly kept some very stiff company since his rise to fame last year, but this year hasn't been the most, what can we say? Chris, were you disappointed with his second at Cheltenham?
They didn't jump the second, did they? They took it was that it went low sun again, didn't it? Or they took out the second last, didn't they? And
yeah,
he's a jumper, isn't he? His strengths are getting in front, popping, rhythm. Sam gets him out in front, and I don't think they jumped the second last in the Cotswold there. And I think by the end of it, it turned into a bit of a sprint, didn't it? And he had to give way to, was it Capodanno? Was it, from what I remember? And he stayed on all right, but he was never winning, was he? He doesn't look the same horse to me as his. How Jordan got Jerry Colon beat in that Broadway. I can still see Elliot's face in the paddock after Jordan got off. I think Jordan went straight to the weighing room. I mean, it sums it up, does it? I mean, Mullins is taking the piss, putting an easy game in here, isn't he? What a name! You know, he's doing 2 feet. He's doing 2 fingers at Paul there, and the like, isn't he? I think Hitman wins this, which tells you all you need to know about the race. I do. He's had this race in mind for Hitman all year. I think I can see the blinkers. I think if you look at his Ryanair thirds, what did they stick pieces on him, did they? And he wasn't that far behind Shishkin, was he? I think better ground, Cobden back on, blinkers on. I mean, he got a win out of St. Calvados in this, didn't he? Jesus. I think Hitman goes off fave and probably wins.
Fair point. Regarding Hitman, I agree with you on one thing. He was definitely not off the first 2 starts. Absolutely no intention.
He was fat at Aintree, I can tell you that for now.
Right. So there we go. So Hitman, Chris, exclusive there. But Hitman laid out for this. Probably raise eyebrows. I've never been a fan of the horse personally. John, would you agree with that he's always been one that travels like the wrath of God? And
I always much preferred Michaela Strachan.
What, the Waterman?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great producer.
Yeah, John always preferred her over Hitman.
Yeah.
Easy game though, Chris, right? This has been a solid horse, hasn't it, over time? This has taken some scalps over time. And the better ground, they've always campaigned him a lot as a summer horse. As if
Summer chaser, isn't he?
Yeah, as they've always felt he's a nice ground horse. And I just wonder if this is a start for him to maybe go to Listowel and places like that this summer. And,
you've got a solid horse there against potentially a couple of monkeys, haven't you?
Yeah. Really? He's certainly not on genuine easy game. He's head down. Yeah. I think that's where I'm going easy game, actually, at 4-1.
Only thing Hitman's lacking is shape paces. Got everything else on.
I was going to say, John, it's one for you, isn't it? 6 of the 7 have all got some form of headgear.
Yeah, some festival, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're on that SMM there.
If that was being run at Cheltenham, I'd pay extra money to go in one of them expensive toilets and piss on myself rather than watch it.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not even going to watch this race.
Interesting. But you were so compelling about it, man. Actually,
it doesn't mean I'm going to watch it.
Back it and leave it, Chris. You don't need to.
I think there's a good war film on ITV.
I've just put up a Hitman. I'd rather fucking self-flagellation or what, Opus Dei shit in the, So.
John, like when we mentioned Edgear and Mass and things like that, I'm not just making this up. Why do I get an image of Venetia Williams in my head?
Because he brings it up every week.
No idea.
It's true, and I'm sorry to Venetia for this. If ever she gets wind of this, I'm truly sorry. That is exactly what happens subliminally.
It's an ugly fitting zip-up tweed, isn't it?
With a handbag.
It's when she turned up at Cheltenham in that Komodo, I think it sent John Wappy as well. Right, 3:00. El Fabiolo versus John Bon. Obviously, I'm pretty sweet on John Bon to do the biz, just basically because of the track configuration. John Bon's unbeaten round Sandown. Thoughts?
I'd agree with you, Lee. I can't. You could not row in confidence with El Fabiolo at this price, given he just looked dead from the minute they jumped off at Cheltenham.
He didn't make a good shape at all.
No, and as you guys talked about, the exchange market didn't catch up for the fact that he just wasn't jumping from the get-go. So, I know it's Willie Mullins, but to have the confidence to row in at 8 to 11 with that is not possible from my perspective. And I'd have the two of them a lot closer than the 8 to 11, 9 to 4 personally.
Indeed. Jonas?
I think this is right for a shock.
Mm.
El Fabiolo jumped like a fucking snooker table at Cheltenham. Right, no question. John Bon had a hard race at Liverpool, no question. Edward Stone might put it up to him, but then again, Eddie Jeet might put it up to Edward Stone. Elixir de Nuts is trained by Tizard, so you can forget about him. Newbie Negra is sadly no longer with us, which leaves you a small bet on the upset, Boat Hill, to get over his last two falls, because he was previously progressive.
Well, no, I'm not having that. Even at 40, so that's a Prince Monolulu Granny Pearls bet, that, John. Can't have that.
I got a horse.
Exactly that, yeah. Prince Monolulu would have 7 horses there, wouldn't
he? Well, that's the idea, yeah. But,
I got a horse for you. Here's a fire.
If you throw enough shit at the cell wall, eventually some of it will stick and they'll let you out.
Dirty protest.
Yeah, David Charlton. Remember that Manchester Strangeways documentary on ITV?
Yeah.
David Charlton did a dirty protest
on the roof.
That'd be John, to be honest. Chris, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think El Fabiolo wins. He's just a better.
Oh, come on! Man.
He's just a better horse. He's just. One of my favourite horses is Moscow Flyer, and he took the piss at fences sometimes, didn't he?
He can't jump, Chris. He was like Raymond Burr last time.
John, but I was at Aintree last year. I was a bit worried about John. Like, I'm a third lap, and he dug it out. He really did dug it out. I didn't think he would. Yeah, I'd be surprised at El Fabiolo. I'd always let one horse. I mean, Punchestown. It's not easy jumping them fences at Punchestown, is it? I don't know. I just think there was the vibes that were.
I've never been pissed enough to jump one, Chris. You tell those.
Yeah, the vibes weren't good at Cheltenham before, were they? So, yeah.
Jack, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I'm with you, Lee. All in with you.
Right, 3:35 then, the finale. The race that will probably decide, or maybe not decide, where the jumps trainer prize goes for GB.
How far is he ahead now?
About 180,000 in front of Desperate Dan, and about 250,000 in front of Pumpkin, I think. Something.
Yeah, so Pumpkin's gone, but with a couple of big winners, Skelton's potentially there, isn't he? So yeah, it could be quite telling, this one.
Very confident selection from Chris in Am I Right? Chris, would you be thinking Am I Right is in the sort of like early to mid 150s, like in terms of potential?
I hope so. I thought under his right conditions he is. Let's not forget, he was put in his face. I mean, he was smashed in the Irish National, wasn't he? last year. And obviously the ground just went. I think that's when they realised, hang on a minute, he can't jump out of anything that remotely is soft. I don't know. I mean, I'm nowhere near obviously Sandown, but I think they've got a wee bit of rain, haven't they? Why can't we just have good spring ground? Like, we're so fucking scared of having anything remotely got. I mean, I remember some Aintree festivals were nearly on firm.
Oh yeah, rattling.
You know,
yeah.
All the flats coming off, and in the
There'd have been no red rum.
in the anniversary, you used to get lovely. Oh, yeah, it does me head in. But yeah, am I right? I think he's got loads. Obviously, I made a call on Kitty's Light. I don't like that. Last year, I know he backed it up. Obviously, last year, but that Scottish National was on decent, nice ground, wasn't it?
The key thing is, as well, he won the Scottish National.
Yeah, finishing his race off. Yeah. Whereas he was knackered.
You know, he's emptied out.
He did. I cannot believe that hasn't left a mark. And I mean, it would be a remark. You know, you're taking 5s, 9-2 on someone that's come off the national. Nah, not for me. Manella Crooner worries. I thought that was a cracking run. I mean, he's always shaped like he'd be better. I mean, I think he was a bit of a head case as a hurdler. He was second in the Albert Bartlett, wasn't he? Missed most of last year, but graded winner as a novice. I just think it goes to probably Ireland again. You know.
It is a strong case you've certainly made. Limailos, that's 2 from 2 here, and kind of Dan's sort of like gone over hurdles to protect the mark. Do you think that's interesting, Chris?
I mean, obviously, you know, he's a Hennessy winner, isn't he? Oh, you just never know with the yard anymore, do you? I mean, fucking hell, Langer Dan getting beat ahead. You know, I know, honestly, he is. To be fair to him, we say what we like about him, but he is a remarkable trainer. Let's get it right. He knows.
Oh, he is, yeah.
You know, Katira, the way he laid that out. He is an excellent trainer. There's you can't be any dispute. He is the upcoming jumps trainer, isn't he? Yeah, he can train them. I wouldn't be surprised, but you're having to know for that one. You're having to know what he's doing in the yard, don't you?
John, will 3 under through 5 be 5 over after 4?
Any possibly.
That's like me and you, that Saltman.
I know when the ringer turns up.
In fairness, with that one, they have possibly laid it out for this, because I remember Pumpkin going on record after the Ascot win and saying no Cheltenham, no Aintree, we're going straight to Sandown with it. So, you know, he is a target trainer. Could be the race they had in mind. Well, it looks like it is anyway.
It'd be able to be another tidal bay off that mark. He looks handicapped to death, that one, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think there's any more to come from him at all.
Doesn't jump well enough either, really.
Yeah, he makes the odd blooper, makes the odd bogey. John, we've all been caught.
I'm sure we have, yes. We got caught with that when it was a fucking novice, didn't we? Never been caught yet.
That was his Gold Cup horse, wasn't it, at one point?
Yes, Twister. He did say that in the pub, though. He said he win a Gold Cup.
I tell you what, you want to see how many illegal asylum seekers you can get on there and get it in the fucking chance. You won't find a bigger boat.
Yeah, so we're not that keen on that. Right, anything at a big price, maybe. John, sometimes you find things at mass. What about Enrillo, former glories?
Well, he was good at Edinburgh, wasn't he, the other time? But I think he's had his chance at winning this, to be honest. The Liz Doyle horse I fancied at the 4-day stage didn't get in. So I'll end up shouting for our darling Rachel, I think.
Absolutely. We need winners on the pod this week, so it's definitely important. Jack, anything you to add to the big one?
I'm going to do a Nick Davis plead the fifth and say nope.
Indeed. Right. I think that's about it. I think we've covered it off lovely. Cracking from Chris tonight, as always. Even though he's hungover, he still delivered some good advice. And hopefully we can do the business for you this weekend. Don't forget, we're back on Sunday to chew the fat. We've got plenty to talk about this week as well. And lots of funnies, I hope, from you guys when you fire in the questions. It always makes the show. That's all from me, John, Chris, and Jack. Bye for now.